I'm Rustin, and I'm calling for YouTube. Joel Saints, that's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review an episode of Dark Shadows. Uh, what 315, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
yes, this episode was written by Gordon Russell and directed by John Sedgwick. So, Alan, you picked this episode, dude.
Mhm.
Why'd you pick this one?
This episode was a sort of a pivotal episode as a kid, but also when I started uh, thinking about involving myself as a fan again in my early 20s. The thing that triggered it was there was a station in Poland Spring, Maine,
Yeah.
WMTW, which was an ABC affiliate, but in the early '80s they started broadcasting syndicated um, episodes of Dark Shadows. The first section had been released, and I couldn't get the picture, but I if I did the antennas because this was over air stations back in the day. If I did the antennas just right, I could hear the audio.
Yeah.
And I taped a few of them, but the first one I taped was episode 315. And I hadn't seen it since I was 7 years old because it's in the fall of 1967. So and it was I remember it was impactful because at that point in time David is kind of central to the storyline because Barnabas is threatening him, sort of, and because he's afraid that the ghost of Sarah has told him his secrets.
Mhm.
And so he's kind of menacing the kid at this point. He's still kind of a crappy human being, the perfect vampire, but a crappy human being. And he's at this point, I think they've already decided they're gonna have him take a left turn into something else, but they haven't figured out quite how to do it yet. So they still have him kind of skulking around, threatening people. Um, this is also the era at which he's like trying to crash Vicky's romance with Burke, and
Mhm.
all of this sort of thing is going on. But in particular, this episode, David is trapped in the mausoleum. Um,
Mhm.
what happened was is that Sarah kind of lures him in there and talks to him and gives him all sorts of mysterious advice about, this, that, and the other thing. I'll show you my secret place, but you can't tell anybody. And then she disappears. And while he's trying to figure out, uh, how to walk out of this place, he hears Barnabas and Willie, and so he closes himself in.
Mhm.
And then he can't get out after they leave. And so Barnabas is running around trying to find him for different reasons than everybody else is because he wants to silence him basically. So it's a kid's eye view of what's going on in Collinsport with Barnabas. And as a little kid, only a couple years younger than David Hennessy was, I identified pretty heavily with the kids in the show. And so that's why I picked the episode. Really, it's that kid's eye view, and it's a spooky little episode as well.
It is a bit spooky. I'll tell you the episode before this where Roger and Joe are searching for little David,
Hmm.
and it's like they walk through the cemetery. They said they hear voices. They also get the caretaker involved in these episodes, which was
Yes,
nice to see.
yes.
Um,
This is the original caretaker.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And from the Phoenix Arc, for those who may have forgotten. But yeah, he shows up here, and he also talks to I think Roger and Joe, I believe, too, in a previous
Hmm.
episode. But he also talks to our buddy Barnabas. Who, by the way, issues what any employer issues to his employees threats.
Yes, of course.
There ain't no work hazard pay with Barnabas.
No,
Oh,
no.
um, but yeah, I do love this episode because you get Vicky who talks to Barnabas. She's like, you know, you are you going to search for David? And he's basically plugging her for information.
Absolutely. He's already told Julia he's going to do that at the top of the episode, and Julia's trying to get him to back off. And of course, he's telling her, I warn you, and basically, I'll strangle you if you don't get out of my way. And so off he goes. And yeah, exactly. And he tells her exactly what he's going to do. I'm going to go and find out where he's not by asking everybody else where they've been searching. And that's what he does with Vicky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she refers to the person that kidnapped Maggie and may have kidnapped David as a maniac, and he's sitting there going, "A maniac? Oh, it's like it's talking about me. Oh, oh." So there's a little bit of that sort of subtext going on there with Barnabas. He's really laying on the con job pretty thick.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, her mindset is, it, I do like how she takes him to task a bit here too. She goes, don't be so dismissive that this guy just left.
Right,
I
right.
mean, that I like right
Yeah.
there,
So,
uh, because it's like, okay, they're conscious that this guy's still in the area,
right.
and it's not just her. It's if it's Vicky, it's not just her.
And they're
Um,
not wrong. He is still in the area.
yeah, he's right there. He's in the house, which sort of kind of does give a bit of a serial killer, not quite murderer to
Right.
Barnabas. It gives him that stalker-ish feel.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's a vampire, but
Yeah.
I always felt they added another element by playing into that a bit with the whole maniac thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he's a guy who there's a maniac underneath of the veneer.
yeah,
He's still trying to adjust to being out in the world again. Uh, but his instinct is to survive at all costs. So, yeah.
it's funny because like the when Barnabas kills Jason McGuire, like him and Willie are having that conversation all those episodes ago, where it's like Barnabas understands Willie's grief to a degree. I
Yeah.
had a best friend, and the
Yeah.
best friend was Sarah. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you do see human elements out of
Yeah.
Barnabas.
They're just starting to bleed them in because by this time they know that fans are starting to go wild over this guy and his characterization of this vampire. But they also are starting to form the idea we have to change him somehow. We have to make him, you know, dislike what he is and what he does and all this sort of thing. And so that, like you say, a few flashes of humanity start to be written in. And Gordon Russell is a good writer, so he took it to task pretty well in these episodes.
I think what they do, even though even though they killed Dr. Woodard, it's only Peter Turgeon. Um,
That's right. By this time, he's nowhere near as sympathetic as Robert Geringer. I mean,
no,
there's no way. He just isn't. Uh,
that's
Geringer was like cared about the kid, and he was, you know, well liked by everybody in town. He was buddies with Sam. He was buddies with Burke. But this guy is like, who cares?
if
He's
they
like he's a wet rag at the party. Let's get rid of him. Um,
I I will say if Robert Gardner was around and they tried that with him, I don't think they're getting away with it.
the fan reaction would have been probably pretty strong because
Yeah, a bit.
Geringer was the one that really developed the character and somebody that the audience liked.
Yeah. So, they
Uh,
kind of, in a weird way, Dark Shadows kind of got lucky with some of its recast. I
mhm.
mean, because they couldn't keep Robert Garinger.
No, I think if Geringer hadn't have crossed the picket line and he'd
Yeah,
stayed with the show, they probably wouldn't have killed off the character. They
yeah.
probably would have figured out some way to fool him, or maybe he becomes the Professor Stokes or type
Mm.
or whatever. It would have been something different because he was tracking pretty popular, I think, sympathetic character.
I will say too, to Peter Turgeon's credit, he's a lot more antagonistic than what Geringer's
Hmm.
character was a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, in just the short time he's there too, because he's not there long.
No,
Uh,
he's only there for a couple weeks.
yeah.
But I mean, he has a lot to do, and he does it. And Predetergent was actually a fine actor. He was a
Hmm.
stage actor, and he appeared in films, and typically kind of played that kind of character. So um, he was doing what he was asked to do.
Huge shout out to Chris Frid on Facebook and X. He told me that joke when I first had him on here. I thought it was funny. It's only Peter Turgeon. So that's where I got.
Yeah.
I'll give credit where credit's due. But yeah, I do think with this episode they're doing a lot of cool things though too. There's even though John Carlin is not in this episode, his presence is in a sense because you have Julia talking to Barnabas and the threats that Barnabas lays out. He goes, he tells Julia something. He goes, and you could pass that along to Willie too when
Oh
you
yeah,
see him.
absolutely. I mean, Barnabas already knows that Willie's been kind of talking to Julia about various things. I mean, he was on top of the whole. Um, he's been on top of the whole Maggie thing, and of course, eventually that ends up being his downfall temporarily. But
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna get shot up pretty bad.
pretty bad, pretty bad.
I do love Grayson Hall too, and she's like, I don't want David to be killed by a, and he says, by a what? And her
Yes,
and Fred's chemistry was just amazing.
yeah. They were also. I mean, the writers were also reinforcing the fact that he's a ghoul, he's a vampire, without saying it because they wouldn't let them say the word for quite some time. I think the first time it was ever said is when Angelique says it in 1795. That's a
Yeah,
ways away yet. That's
yeah,
quite a ways away.
yeah. It doesn't get said until
No,
you're right. It doesn't
it's
get
it,
said
it was
until
it's kind of strange that I, I don't know if it was standards and practices that said, "Oh, you shouldn't. Let's tiptoe around that," or whether or not it was just something they decided to do to kind of build it up. So
yeah, yeah. I can't remember. I think they say Phoenix during the Phoenix arc.
yes, I believe they do. Yeah.
So I mean, they. But again, at that time, did anybody really understand what a Phoenix
No, it
was?
was. I mean, that was a. They made that up for that
Yeah,
storyline. That wasn't anything that was particular. I mean, the legend of the Phoenix bird, yeah.
yeah,
So that's what they based it on. But as a human being, that was something they made up.
yeah. And I think that's probably why they got away
Yeah,
too.
sure. And
Uh,
I mean, and she wasn't running around sucking people's blood and
yeah,
things like that. And I don't know the idea of vampire on daytime TV was probably something that they just didn't want to make, you know, make it definitive. I mean, obviously people knew that's what he was, but they just didn't want to talk about it in those terms.
can I ask you a question about this? And I'm not sure how you'll feel about this. Somebody on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call
Yeah,
it, asked
yeah,
me asked me, what made Dark Shadows so special, and I said, in many ways, the storytelling, because to me, when you get to Phoenix Arc, when you get to Barnabas, it was such an amazing character, amazing vampire the way Fred played it, and to me, in my opinion, no soap opera has done it right since, or even recaptured it the way Dark Shadows did.
that's right. I mean, obviously, we've had discussions before about the fact that any reboots of Dark Shadows have been episodic television, nighttime television, and it or a movie, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
doesn't have the same feel as that 5 day a week shot on live on tape sort of energy that and also the use of stage actors primarily,
yeah,
except for Joan Bennett. But she was a stage actress when she was young,
yeah,
but she was a movie star, so she was different than the rest of them in that respect. The rest of them all did New York stage work or were coming out of theater school Um, uh, Catherine was coming out of theater school, and Alexander was coming out of theater school. And so it was an early gig for them, if not their first job. I think it was their first job for both of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, that energy is part of the reason why the storytelling that you're talking about, the interpretation of the actors, because they're
mhm,
stage actors, because many of them were very experienced and very adept, they were able to do this every single day. Even Fred, who had terrible time learning lines, was very adept at characterizing. So he was able to sort of overcome his dyslexia, if you will. Um,
yeah,
but also, when the writers were kind of spurred on once Curtis decided this is the way the show is going to go, and
mhm,
he was the one that really had the final say on that. Once he decided that way, he got the directors and the writers on board, and it just and I think his driving force behind the storytelling was important in terms of the way it got paced, in terms of the stories that were told, and all of that sort of thing. But the writers also did a really bang up job. Some people think, some of the writers were a little draggy, but they were also soap writers, and sometimes you wanted things to slow down a little bit and then speed back up again. And so I thought they all did a fantastic job once they made that commitment to go with this, and then with with the introduction of Barnabas, and within weeks getting fan mail, that commitment had to be made, and they made it. So yeah, there's nothing like it, and maybe even with Dark Shadows, it may be difficult, if ever, to replicate that sort of feeling and execution of the story.
I think people, from an appreciation standpoint of Dan Curtis, his work ethic and drive to get the show consistently keep it going. I
Hmm.
mean, that's something. It kind of reminds me of another different sort of genre, a way different genre. Reminds me of Akira Toriyama in a lot of ways, where Toriyama would he was the drive. I mean, he was the writer too, but he was also the
Sure.
driving force behind Dragon Ball and all that
Well,
stuff.
I mean, Dan Curtis was really kind of a writer. I mean, he
Yeah.
was the one coming up with the ideas, and then they were fleshing them out into
Hmm.
scripts. So he was kind of the head writer in an unofficial capacity, and he was the one that would call meetings every so often and say, "This is the way I want the show to go," and they would take copious notes and go off and figure out how to do that. So yeah, I have to give him credit for that because he
Yeah.
really did drive the direction of the stories.
Yeah. What's your favorite scene in this episode?
Oh my God. It is probably the scene that Barnabas has with the caretaker. It's just so, it's dripping with subtext and secrecy and impatience and awkwardness and scheming and all sorts of levels. It's just great. And the caretaker is just like, he's playing the straight man to Frid's intentions, and
Yeah.
so it works really well, basically. So I like that scene.
This isn't the only interaction we get between David and Sarah, obviously,
Yeah,
but I do love the fact of how David Hennessy. My favorite scene is how David Hennessy plays the inside of the mausoleum
yeah.
because it is very creepy. I mean, I agree with you. It's one of the Hennessy was so underrated as an
Oh,
actor.
he was very good. He was
So
very
good.
he was kind of a natural. Plus, he had experience. He'd already been on Broadway by this time.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I mean, you put it in the hands of a kid that you can trust to be there alone on the set and delivering his lines, which apparently he, as opposed to Fred, could learn very quickly and was
Hmm.
sometimes would be irritating because he'd learn everybody else's lines too.
You do see a bit of that too, Jonathan kind of searching for the teleprompter a bit in this episode, but
Oh, I mean, the
but
guy by this time he's a little fatigued. He's already a
yeah,
little fatigued from all the lines and all the scenes that he has to do because he's now the most popular character on the entire show.
yeah, that's something I was explaining to my buddy Daniel Culver that when Frick came on the show, it was like, okay, less is more with the character. They didn't have to have him in every episode because again,
No.
he's a vampire. But as the character's getting more and more views, they're putting him on more, so he's getting more and more and more dialogue.
Mhm. I think the way they started it was probably wise, although it was also a function of the fact that they had to wrap up other storylines. They
Mm-hmm.
had to take care of the Jason storyline and a couple other things. And so they were working hard on doing that. And he just pop in every once in a while and people would like wait for him to show up
Mm-hmm.
after word gets around, oh, there's a vampire on the show. Can you
Yeah.
believe it? People would wait to see him pop up. So it kind of built an anticipation.
Yeah, and he does things too, and this is before the well before the baby face turn. He
Hmm.
does things too as a vampire that aren't necessarily bad. He saves Liz from jumping off Widow's
He
Hill.
does.
I mean, he does little things as a character that make you wait, is this guy all bad?
He's got this odd sort of, and this is something that he grew up with in the 1700s, this odd sort of loyalty to the family.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even though he's this creeper, he's still like, oh, I'm going to be loyal to the family. And he does. He likes Liz. He never has ever any intention of menacing her at all. Carolyn, he's not messing with her.
Yep.
He's not, although he's tempted to at some points. He's not biting Victoria at this point either.
Not yet.
Later on, he does.
Later on, he
Quite a
does. Right.
little ways later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
after she comes back from 1795, and he's afraid that she knows what he is. But
it's literally the episode before Vicky wrecks the car.
yes, yes,
And who's riding shotgun? Our buddy Bar.
our buddy Barnabas
That's right.
slunk down low with his cane in his hand.
I have a Halloween fun fan theory for you, Alan. I believe Barnabas College taught Michael Myers how to drive.
Put down the knife, Michael. Put down the knife. Both hands on the wheel.
I actually did do like a fun list thing once where I put the three most people who taught Michael how to drive. I put Mario Andretti. I
Mm-mm.
put Dale Earnhardt Sr. because at the time, 70s,
Right,
he was still around, and
right.
Barnabas Collins
Yes.
because Barnabas is like he's obsessed with like causing chaos and like teaching people stuff. Looking at him.
And then, of course, David Collins taught him how to maintain vehicles.
Yes,
This
yes,
is a bleeder
absolutely.
valve.
Yes, yes. This is how you dispose of your family members right here.
That's right.
Uh, that's something too. Cy Thomasoff's set designs too in this episode, in every episode, are just so beautiful.
It's amazing what he did. I mean, the studio, the full studio, and of course, a big chunk of it's taken up by the permanent set of Collinwood, but the
Hmm.
whole studio is only about 100 and what 125 feet long by 45 feet wide, something like that. It's
Yeah,
very long and narrow, and
there's a
it's
sorry.
really it must have been a challenge to make sets that would fit in and be removed in other sets that would fit into the same spaces.
Yeah, there's plenty of pictures out there. There's a picture on my Facebook page of Alexander and Mitchell Ryan rehearsing their kissing scene. And yeah, you can
Mhm.
see it's at the Evans Cottage, but if you look above, you can see there's a set,
Yeah,
another
yeah,
set next to it.
there is, and
So,
you can see the lights and everything
yep,
else. It's basically, I don't know, the sets are probably only about 10 feet high,
yeah.
something like that, and so the lights are right up there on the edge of the top of the set.
Mhm.
But
Fun.
that's what the camera work is for. You
One
know,
of my
that's
favorite one of my favorite facts about a Halloween movie, I like Halloween Resurrection. The Myers house you see, it's a set. It's a set design.
yeah.
Beautiful set design, by the way. And
Hmm.
yes, they do make the mistake of showing the actual set in the movie. It's a goof up. It
Yeah,
happens.
stuff happens. I
That
mean,
that's
in Dark Shadows, of course, you get the edges of sets every so often, and you get cameras, the camera, the lens hood sticking into frame from another camera every once in a while. So, I mean, what are you gonna do?
I think it's when my memory's correct. I think it's when Michael's hanging by a cord because Buster Rhymes' character kicks him out the window and
Sure,
he gets something wrapped around his neck and he's hanging and you can just see this you can see the set.
the edge of it. Yeah.
Um, so
We're not shooting this again. I'm sorry. We're running out of money. This is
yes,
this
well,
stunt is too expensive.
it was filmed in Canada, so but
Yeah, so they probably were on a budget.
they were on a very tight.
Yeah.
Canada made a nice Haddonfield for as little as they showed of a town, you know. But yeah, so, I'll get the Halloween mention in there. But yeah, they did a really good job of building Barnabas, and Fred did a really great job of playing the character, not revealing too much because again, the writers aren't exactly sure where they're taking him.
Hmm.
For him to be able to play off this emotion that makes sense, and everything about he's loyal to the Collins family, even
Yes.
though he's a vampire, he's still loyal to his own last name.
Hmm.
And yes, he had one of the worst TV dads ever. No, I'm not meaning Louis Edmonds. I'm meaning Joshua.
Yes. Yeah. It's
But
true.
Julie asked me, she goes, "Who was the worst TV dad ever?" I said, "Joshua Collins."
Yeah, it kind of turned out all right, but
He
he was
turned out,
he was okay. You know, I mean, he actually sort of had feelings towards the
he
end, but
did, he did. He,
mostly he needed to stay a cat for most of
yes.
1995.
I'm sort of with Ben. Turn him into like a jackass, turn him into a donkey. Turn him into a You remember
Yeah.
that dialogue? And Angelique's shocked by it too.
Yes.
I like Laura's reaction to that whole thing too. Like as
Hmm.
her character, that was good. That was funny. Because there's moments Dark Shadows has like unintentional comedy, and it's like
Oh
okay,
yeah, I mean, some of the stuff is so wild and out there,
yeah,
and the way they play it straight makes it kind of humorous at times. Um, things
absolutely,
like Willie teasing Adam with a chicken leg,
yep,
and then having you know Adam chase him all over the basement, and while the sets are kind of wobbling and everything is kind of going nuts. I mean, the scene is straight as an arrow, but it just has those elements of humor in them, no doubt.
yeah. David Selby's Quentin fainting as him and Evan Hanley are summoning the devil,
And it
and
turns out to be
it's
Trask.
Trask. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I always laugh at that scene because I
yeah,
found it funny. Uh,
yeah. Selby was a good at portraying that sort of rambling drunkenness that Quentin
yes,
would have every once in a while, and that was certainly prime
actually.
prime drunk Quentin, that scene. So
Uh, oh my gosh. Let's see. I have no further questions. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
no, this is one of I chose this episode because for me it was kind of a seminal episode. It was a thing that I remember as a kid as being quite
Yeah.
vivid. So
Yeah, there are episodes of Dark Shadows like involving the kids too that are just downright creepy. Like they're not scary, but they're eerie as hell.
hmm.
Even now, like when you get into like the whole Quentin arc and the kids are like possessed, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Where are we going with this? Oh, yeah, that's right. There's that book by uh by that guy that wrote the Innocents there, and yeah, that whole Quentin thing was it was that's a classic story. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the
I mean,
kid.
I'm sure a lot of high school kids that read some of this stuff in English lit class recognized the parallels in the story. The teenagers, like,
Yes.
oh, Adam, it's Frankenstein. Okay, yeah, let's see that. So yeah,
Uh, like I'll tell you, like a trip when you watch. I watched when I was a kid. When I was a kid, watching The Omen, and then later as a teenager watching Dark Shadows. It's like, okay, okay.
yeah, yep,
Oh my gosh.
absolutely.
So, uh, I'm Jules Sage. That has been Alan Gallant. It's linked to Alvin's channel. Colin Sport After Dark is going to be in the description box. He has a new video up. Go watch it. Go watch it. It's awesome. Um, great job by the research, by the way. Great,
Yeah,
great,
and there's
great.
more coming because I'm already getting people, particularly Guy Haynes
Mm-hmm.
and also Joe Escobar, two of the more established fans, have more information about what some of those music cues are from. So that's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Uh, link to Patrick Cray's Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound will be in the description box. You folks have a nice night. Take care.